In section 7.3, we're going to learn about rotations. This is the last rigid motion that we're going to learn in this unit. So here I have a square as my pre-image, and if I'm rotating it, I'm just going to turn it. So as of right now, we've learned about translations, which is a glide or a shift, reflections, which is when I flip that image, and then finally rotations is when I turn it. So how we would write a rule for a rotation is we would denote it as a lowercase r, and then in parentheses the degrees, so how much we're rotating the image, and then the center at which we're rotating it. The different types of rotations we're going to talk about are 90 degrees, 180 degrees, and 270 degrees. And we'll get a little bit more in depth next week, but as of right now, the only center of rotations that we're going to talk about are rotating about the origin of the graph. Okay, so that's at 0, 0, or in the center of a graph or a coordinate plane. Finally, the last thing that we're going to talk about in this video is the different rules of rotation. I would definitely make sure that you're taking organized notes here, as these rules can sound all kind of similar. So you want to make sure that you're writing very organized notes, you're highlighting stuff, something that's easy for you to read and remember. So to start, let's talk about a 90-degree rotation. If I had a coordinate and I want to rotate it 90 degrees about the origin, that's how I would read that line there. I would flip the coordinate and then change the sign of the first number. So what would that mean symbolically? X, Y, I would flip to say Y, X, and then change the sign on that first number there. So as an example, let's say I had the coordinate 2, 3. If I rotate it 90 degrees about the origin, I'm going to flip it, change the sign of the first, that would change to -3, 2. As you could also see here, a 90-degree rotation is basically like a quarter turn. So that all kind of checks out when I rewrite my coordinate and I plot it. Next we have a 180-degree rotation, or a half turn. How I would write that? 180 degrees about the origin is what you would see right there. And my rule for a 180-degree rotation is I just change the sign of both numbers. So xy would turn into -x, -y. So again, looking at that coordinate 2, 3, I would rewrite that as -2, -3, and as you can see there, it does look like I'm spinning halfway around that coordinate plane. Finally, 270-degree rotation. I would read that as rotating 270 degrees about the origin. My rule for a 270-degree rotation would be to flip my coordinates and then change the second number. So coordinate xy would turn into yx, and then I would change the sign of that second number. So again, looking at 2, 3, that would change to 3, -2. And as you could see here, 270 degrees is like a 3/4 turn around the coordinate plane. Now finally, I could have a 360-degree rotation. We'll talk about this a little bit more in class, but 360 degrees will go all the way around the whole graph. So I don't really have a rule for that because I would just end up right back to where I started.